have so much fun participating with this band, and they are so loving and supportive, so I just want to give them a hand. So thank you guys. And even when I forget lyrics, I get the lyrics wrong. This one, Ellen, will do sign language for me. Oh, all right.
You have so much going on, like...
A little, huh? Thank you, I appreciate it. Well, today we're into part 5 of the Defy Gravity Rainbow series. So today, I'm excited about today because today is a high voltage grace that we're going to be getting into. High voltage, and I'm not kidding about that. So we've been going through the shadows and the graces of each of the chakras up to this point. That's why we're dressing, like why we match our colors up, right? Because we've been doing the red, then the orange, then the yellow, then the green. Today is blue.
Yeah,
right? But see, when we look at the shadow and the grace, the shadow is like we call it darkness. There's darkness and light. But the darkness is just a place where there's no understanding. The grace shines the light. We get understanding. And that place then within us is no longer in the darkness. It's now in the light. Well, through all this work we discover there's more places we can hide things, right? It's kind of like an ongoing process for me at least. Okay, so the shadow, it's not a bad thing. It's just showing us where we need healing, where we need to shine some light of understanding to give it a little attention. That's it. So today we're going into the throat chakra, okay? This is the center of communication and choice between personal will and divine will. So this is mission control right here. Mission control. And it's so much more than just speaking our truth. It's living it. Walking the walk. This is where we have our struggle between choosing from fear or choosing from faith. Now our heart mediates, the heart chakra mediates between the physical and the spiritual, so we can walk by faith and not by sight. But it's from our throat chakra, we choose to walk by faith instead of sight. So it's here that we have to make the choice, and I'm going to use a really strong word just because I want everybody to just go, what? Did she say that? This is where we have to make the choice to choose between good and evil. Good and evil, okay? Really, it's between our divine will and personal will. Well, I say good and evil because here, at this point, we know our choice. We know what we should do. And sometimes we just don't do it. We decide, I'm going to just do the easy thing. Right? It's where we get that saying, I'd rather ask forgiveness than permission. Like, we know. We just know. Right? Because we're conscious of the choice that we make. So we know what we should do, we're just not doing it. Now, the Apostle Paul spoke about this in the book of Romans, and I love this guy more and more every time I read him, because this man struggled with his light. And he said this, I do not know why I do what I do. I do not do the thing I want to do, but I do the thing I don't want to do. That's exactly what I do. Okay, those are his words. Right? Those are his words. He was struggling. Now, in the first 3 chakras, we're making choices, but most of those choices are unconscious. When we're in the shadow of the first 3 chakras, we've bought into a faulty belief system, and we totally believe in our choices. Okay, so if we think, well, if I don't get that college degree, my family will disown me. Even though I'd rather get a certificate and become a healer, my family would think I'm crazy. I can't do that to my family. Or we might think something like, well, I'm fundamentally unacceptable. So I'm just going to keep doing this small thing and not step out of my comfort zone. Maybe I want to become a healer or write a book, but there's already somebody who's done that and they did it better than me. Who am I to think I can do that? I'll never trust my heart again. It always leads me down the wrong path. We're in our shadow when we say those things, and it makes sense to us when we say those, and we believe we deserve to feel bad. We believe that the suffering that we get, is what we should have. We just believe it. We suffer to make the right choices for the tribe. Okay? But from here, we know the difference. Okay? That's why these choices are considered good and evil, because we know the difference. So I'm going to define evil because, well, first off, in the unity movement, we don't even believe in evil. We do not believe in evil. Just going to be really clear on that. Because we believe that God is all. Everything that we see is a physical expression or manifestation of God in this world. Everything, every person, every place, everything that's ever been invented, every great idea, every horrible idea, it still all comes from the all. There's not like another place, that we can get stuff from, right? It's all from the all. That means there are no opposing forces. There's not a separate force of evil hiding behind, poor Pluto, who's no longer even a planet anymore, right? Just a little moon or something. Okay, there's no opposing forces. God is bigger than anything in its way. So this is how Charles Fillmore defines evil. Okay, Charles Fillmore, the founder of Unity. Evil is, wouldn't it be nice to have a drum roll? Evil is ignorance. Evil is our ignorance when we do not believe who we are. When we do not believe that we are the activity of God in this world. When we do not believe that, when we believe in separation. Okay, that's how Unity defines it. So evil is ignorance. It's not a power separate from God, but a perceived power that gains its strength from our ignorance of our spiritual identity. That's what evil is. Now I'm going to share one of the most common questions I get here after services. And sometimes I even have people call me up or show up at the church during the week because they have to ask me this question. If God is all, if everything comes from God, why is there evil in this world? And the answer to that is because people make lousy choices. They choose from fear, and so their choices are self-serving. They don't worry about who else may be affected by their choices, right? They're going to choose from the level of the ego, which is, what'll make me happy now? What'll make me rich now? What'll bring me instant gratification now? I don't care if I have to pay for it later, because that's way off. I want happiness here and now. Okay, that's why people make choices because they're afraid of other people, right? If they're coming from fear, they're afraid of everybody else. Okay, so that's where these choices come from. Now, just because we get to the throat chakra, just because this is a high voltage chakra, it's not an enlightened one. Like but we do know our choices. But we're really not enlightened if we choose something easy or instant gratification, right? We think, I'd rather ask forgiveness than permission. Okay, this is why choice is actually our biggest superpower. Choice is our biggest superpower that we have while we're in this body. Now love, God may be bigger than anything in its way, but we can't come from love. We can't live our life through love unless we decide to, unless we make the choice to have faith and trust what's in us, trust that activity of spirit, trust that we are the activity of spirit in this world. We have to choose all that. Okay, we have to choose that. So the shadow of the throat chakra, I love this one. Spiritual gluttony. Spiritual gluttony. Oh, it's going to make so much sense. It will. Because when I first read it, I was like, what? Eating a lot? Right? I mean, that's one kind of gluttony. But have you ever heard the saying, oh, he or she's a glutton for punishment?
Yeah.
Okay? A glutton, if you think about a glutton for punishment, they really, on some level, they know that they're getting abused. Right? Like, oh, she did it again. She got into this drama again, right? That's just kind of like, there's a knowing in there somewhere. So spiritual gluttony is when we know what we should be doing, but we don't. We know it's for our highest good, but we don't choose that. Now, this might mean, like in a spiritual sense, this might mean, okay, even though we know words have power, right? We talk about that, the power of our words. Even though we know that, maybe we still say mean things to ourselves, right? We may still choose to perceive the world as being a terrible, scary place, even though we know that we're creating this world as we go along. We may decide to indulge in our fears, even though we know that we were created to expand the good. We're a divine idea made manifest. right? If God had a refrigerator, your picture would be on that refrigerator right now, right? We were designed to expand more of God, more of good, more of love through us. But we still indulge in our fears. We still will indulge in our fears, even though we are divinely designed. So if you've ever said anything like, this is so hard, who am I to think I can do this cool thing? It's just wishful thinking. Or, I'll never find a loving partner who understands me. Or I'll never find anybody who understands what I'm going through. Or there's nobody who can help me. There's nothing I can do about this. I'm just a fraud. If people figure out who I really am, they're going to give me the boot. Right? Now, what's funny is that this grace, the grace of this chakra, will often rise when it's unexpected. And in that moment, we're like, oh, I need to stop feeling pity. I need to get out of self-pity. I need to get out of victimization. But it's like, no, I just want to feel bad. Yeah. Okay, this happens. Okay, so anytime we say, I know I should stop doing this thing, but I have this lame excuse. Okay, this is being in our shadow. And that might look like, I know I should stop being so hard on myself, but things never work out for me. I know I should stop eating sugar, but it's the only thing that gets me through the day. I know I should stop playing these addictive computer games, but it's such a good way to distract myself when I'm in pain. I know I should stop tolerating the bad behaviors of other people, but I don't want people to think I'm a mean person or I'm a bad person. I know I should stop overspending, but instant gratification just feels so good. I know I should stop being so judgmental, but I'm afraid that if I open to compassion, I'll be called to step forth out of my comfort zone to do something for somebody else, and I'm not ready to do that. Okay, that's being in the shadow. It takes so much stamina for us to do this, to do the right thing, to get our butts out of the way. And I'll tell you something about butts and this particular shadow, okay? If you have a butt in your way when it comes to doing the right thing, there are other butts that you can have that are okay, right? Like, I wanted to have some salad dressing, but I don't have any salad dressing. I'm out of salad dressing. So that kind of butt's all right. But when you're in this shadow and you're trying to come up with an excuse, right? That butt is a lame excuse. So really, if you're in the shadow and you don't want to do the right thing, you know you should do the right thing, but you don't want to do the right thing, don't even worry about coming up with a reason why you shouldn't do that. Just say, I can't do this because I have a lame excuse. I would do the right thing, but I have a lame excuse. Right? You really don't even need to find a good excuse because there's not one. Okay? Now this is where, like last week, I talked about the heart chakra, okay, and the shadow and the grace. The grace of the heart chakra is fortitude. And I do encourage you, if you didn't see it, if you weren't here last week, watch it on our YouTube or Facebook page, because fortitude, it is a powerful grace that we can call on. It's the grace that helps us do the hard things. To get out of the shadow of our throat, to do the right thing, even when it's going to be really, really hard. We have to accept that there's going to be effort on our part that's required. We have to accept that we're going to have to participate in our good. We have to accept that. Fortitude helps us do that so we can call forth the grace of the throat. The grace of our throat chakra is the grace of counsel. Counsel, okay, receiving divine direction. Now we go back and forth between good and evil all the time. What I should do versus what's easy, my highest good versus, oh, okay, yeah, that might make my life a little toxic, but I can deal with it later. Divine will and personal will, right? That's not always easy. But grace, the grace of counsel invokes a clarity within us. So the divine direction is right there. It makes sense. We know what to do. And with the grace of fortitude, we know we can do this hard thing. We know it. The grace of counsel is what gives us the capacity to take in a mystical or a spiritual truth and experience it. We cannot read about a mystical truth and be like, oh yeah, okay, I got it. I'm a mystic now. We have to actually experience it. It has to be revealed through us. We have to receive a revelation about that mystical truth. Okay, so for example, the mystical truth that we say, like what we believe every single Sunday, the very first thing, God is all things. God is the all. Okay, that can make sense. That can make sense. Oh yeah, I can see where God's all things. There's some sciencey stuff about quantum physics and stuff. Yeah, I get it. The field, and, and all that. But then if we're driving in our car and it's like, yeah, all is one. Except that one guy over there. That he really annoyed me. He didn't vote my way. He's a carnivore or a vegan or a vegetarian, something different from me. Like he wore his baseball cap backwards and it made me uncomfortable. Okay, I mean, okay, we're not really getting the mystical truth. We can understand that it's there, but really it hasn't been revealed yet. Okay, another mystical truth. Forgiveness is the great healer of the soul. This is even a harder one to get into sometimes. Because if there's somebody who did something terrible, it's like, why would we want to forgive that? Forgiveness is fundamentally not a fair thing, right? But see, when we cannot forgive someone or something, we are channeling our precious life force energy into that event and off to that person. We are forcing our vital life force energy to time travel. And we're not time travelers, okay? So we have less vital life force energy around us to be here now, and we're not going to be able to handle it after a while. Our physical body, the immune system, will actually suffer from this. Okay? It's a thing. It's a biological thing. We are hemorrhaging our power when we cannot forgive. But see, even there's a shadow of forgiveness too. And I share this. I don't mean to be flip, but I'll say this is my forgiveness process. Okay? When somebody does a horrible thing to me, okay, I'll have to analyze it. I need to go sit and process this first, and I'm going to journal about it, and I want to know what their motivation was. Right? Why did they do this thing they did? Were they trying to embarrass me? Were they trying to hurt me? Were they just did they have a headache? I mean, right? I'll go there, but see, this is still a shadow. This is still a shadow because there's still blame, and there's still separation. We're still not in the God is all. Okay? However, we have another mystical truth that will help us move into this, and I say thank you to Don Miguel Ruiz for this mystical truth. Don't take anything personally. Don't take anything personally. Because we don't know why a person did what they did. We don't. We don't know their motivations. What they did is between them and their shadow. Okay? So this is how I thought about it in my own head to get this agreement down into mystical truth for myself. Say that you go on a walk and you see a dog and it's injured. And you can tell, it's obvious this dog is injured. So you call your friend. Come, bring your car. There's an injured dog. We need to take it to the vet. Your friend shows up. Okay, this injured dog who's in pain and terrified, you reach for the dog who's so scared, the dog bites you. Okay? Well, we know how dogs get animals are afraid when they're injured, right? The dog bites you. And maybe you even are going to need to get stitches, but you don't back up from the dog and say, well, I was just going to take you to the vet, that's all, but if you're going to be like that, you just drive yourself to the vet, mister. Right? We wouldn't do that to the dog. We would understand right away. We'd step right into compassion, right? We wouldn't take it personally. Now, in this mystical truth, there's nothing to forgive. This is why this is so high voltage, to get to a place where we can actually say, wow, what that person did was all on them. Maybe I'm collateral damage. Okay, maybe I was in the way. But it's still all about them. There's no reason for me to channel all my power into what they did. Right, that's all. I mean, if they did something illegal, they should go to jail. If they hurt you, maybe you need to just get them out of your life. But you don't need to keep sending them your power. Because when you can accept the mystical truth, don't take anything personally, well, the next thing that follows along with that is forgiveness is the great healer of the soul. Okay, I don't have to take this personally. I'll have compassion. I'll create distance or boundaries. I'll move out of the country. Maybe I've got to do something. But I won't take what they did personally. I'll just have compassion for them because they were in their shadow. This is between them and their shadow. Between them and their shadow. That's the insight we need. Because when we can understand forgiveness is a great healer, that moves us up into all is one. Okay, so we've just had a revelation, and it is the grace of counsel that allows us to have this revelation. Now, what happens is then, it helps us to become so clear and wise as a soul, we never lose power over situations or events ever again. That's how wise we become as a soul. Now, I'm a work in progress, so I have to keep practicing this, right? Every once in a while, I got my journal out. I got to process this. Okay, I'll do that. But at least now I'm like, okay, whoops. Oops, I did it again. Okay, so this is homework I know that I'll do over and over again as long as I am in this body. But you know what? The Apostle Paul did this homework too, over and over again. In 1 minute, he could say, I don't know why I'm doing all this. I hate myself. I'm sinning all the time. But then he would say, oh, God loves you so much. You are beloved of God. And don't ever stop believing that you are the beloved. You are the beloved. Because he was one lit soul. And we don't have to be perfect to be a lit soul. We just have to be willing. We have to be willing. Okay, well, I'm in my shadow again. Okay, I'll call forth the grace of fortitude because this is hard stuff. And I would rather sit in front of a computer game and not have to think about this for a little while, right? Like a computer game, 5 minutes, I'll sit in front of it, right? Always turns into like an hour, right? One simple game of Montana Solitaire. Oh my gosh. Oh. All right. So how do we invoke this grace of counsel, right? Because sometimes it happens accidentally, but we want to invoke it on purpose, right? Because we want those mystical truths. So we can be that lit soul. All we have to do is surrender our personal will to divine will, right? I wanted so bad to say this is going to be an easy chakra, an easy shadow to get out of. There are no shortcuts. There are no shortcuts here. I've tried a lot of shortcuts. They never work. But when we surrender, we are walking by faith and not by sight. That's what happens when we surrender. One of the ways that helps me to do this, when I'm hanging on and I'm in resistance, you're not surrendering. Accepting, you are surrendering. Resistance, though, you're not. And we want to get to acceptance because that's where we move forward. But in resistance, we can't move forward. So when I'm resisting, I will say this, and it's an affirmation I first heard. I've heard through Ernest Holmes, but also I'm hearing Thomas Troward said it. So Thomas Troward was a big influence on Ernest Holmes. So maybe Ernest Holmes nicked it from Thomas. But it's this. There's that within me that knows what to do, how to do it, and it compels me to act on what it knows. There's that within. Okay? Remember Jesus saying, the Holy Spirit is in you. It'll guide you. Okay? So surrendering is releasing the need to know how. That's all. Surrendering just releases the need to know how. Surrendering is not about just like, oh, okay, well, I'll just let things happen. It's not that. It's allowing ourselves to, okay, I don't know how I'll do this. I'll let the universe guide me. I'll let God guide me. I'll receive divine direction. Okay, that's what surrender is. So we can say, well, I don't know how to stop saying such mean and terrible things to myself. I don't know how to stop focusing on the darkness in the world. I don't know how to stop doubting the infinite within me. I just keep doing that. So how do we surrender? We cast our burdens. Okay, Jesus said to cast our burdens. What he said exactly was, and I'll tell you what a burden is. It doesn't matter how the burden looks in our physical life. Our burden is us always believing we are in total isolation. We're all on our own. It's only us. We have to do this all by ourselves, and the weight of it is so heavy we don't know how we'll survive it. That's our burden. Okay, so what Jesus said was, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble of heart. You will find rest, for my yoke is very pleasant and my burden is light. Now, in the unity philosophy, we have this thing we do called denials and affirmations. And denials are very similar to casting our burdens, because a denial is not about denying something bad's happening in the world. A denial is about denying it has power over us. Denials are, there's nothing outside of me that has power over me. Okay, there's nothing outside. Okay, so we can say, this is how a denial might look then. Sure, maybe I'm afraid I won't be able to heal this thing, or ever make enough money, or I won't be able to stop being so fearful. I'm afraid I'll just always be fearful. See, you just name your burden. This is where you start. I am afraid that, and say it out loud. And then say, but there's that within me that knows what to do and how to do it, and it compels me to act on what it knows. I don't have to know how. I don't have to know how I heal this thing or get my dream house or stop being so afraid of everything. I don't know how I do that. I only know that I do, and I'm so happy and grateful because there's that within me that knows what to do and how to do it, and it compels me to act on what it knows. Just that. That's all. Okay? I am divinely designed to expand the good in my life. Let's affirm that together. I am divinely designed to expand the good in my life. That's what you were designed to do. So the throat chakra, we know it's not really just about speaking our truth, because one way, we say one thing and we do another. Like, I know in my head, I'll be like, I was divinely designed, and I let the Spirit work through me. I'm the activity of Spirit in this world, and I receive all these great inspirations. Oh man, why am I such an idiot? I can't even get this one thing going. Right? Say one thing, do another. But see, if we get stuck in our shadow, what happens is we're going to lose our stamina. We're going to lose energy. We will lose energy. So first we call forth the fortitude, the grace of fortitude. We call that forth because it helps us do the hard things, which is to accept the things that are going on out here. But then we surrender to that. We don't have to know how to do this stuff. We'll be divinely directed, right? To change what we can change or rise above what we cannot change. We will be directed. I don't know how. I only know that I do. I don't know how. La la la. I only know that I do. And I'm so happy and grateful. You know, we're here to create heaven on earth. Can you imagine if we decided to have a meeting? It's like, okay, how are we going to create this heaven on earth now? Let's take notes, and I estimate in 2012 years and 6 hours, we'll have the answers. We'll have a list of everything that needs to be done. Okay, that would be really scary. We create heaven on earth through our choices. We create heaven on earth through choosing love. We create heaven on earth by choosing to come from a place of faith and trust that is within us. Because it knows what to do, how to do it, and it compels us to act on what it knows. It compels. It's not a little quiet, if you want, you could try this. It compels. Okay, that's it's going to nag at you, and it's going to scare you a little, because it's going to compel you out of your comfort zone. It's going to compel you to do the right thing that might be a little scary right now. Okay, through our choices, that's how we create heaven on earth. So, until next time, remember, you are the activity of spirit in a body. You are the heart and hands of God in this world, and you are divinely designed to do all of this stuff that we ever talk about. Divinely designed is in your program. It's in your program, and so it is.
Amen.
So it is. Thank you. All right. The Unity Band is going to join me. We have the gift of a song for you, a song of surrender. Are you all familiar with the positive new thought artist, Amy Steinberg? Ah, okay, you will be now. Oh, real quick, I'm sorry I forgot to tell Linda this. Did you get your yellow card for Membership Sunday? Okay, if you're a member, you would have received a yellow card in the mail. That needs to be filled out and given to Karen right after service, because we're going to go right into our annual meeting, okay? All right. Ready?
Ready?
Uh-huh.
Surrender is not a white flag, giving up or giving in. Surrender is giving over to the infinite within. Surrender is not a prison or a borders where I live. Surrender is the freedom only has a broken live. Oh, 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 I'm letting go. Whoa, I put a little rock into my road. I'm letting go. Oh, the seeds of love will grow. I'm letting go. Oh, so I can sing my song. I'm letting go. Oh, as I gotta let go. Oh, I'm not Deanna. I'm in the trenches of the road, and I'm not feeling blindly. That's why I'm let to go. Oh, 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 I'm letting go. Oh, I put a little rock into my road. I'm letting go. Oh, the seeds of love will grow. I'm letting go. Oh, so I can sing my song. I'm letting go. Oh, 'cause I gotta let go.
Okay, here we go.
I'm not a pretender, but I'm a contender to give and surrender today. Don't be a defender of doubt, but remember that you are the part of the way. I'm not a pretender, but I'm a contender to give and surrender today. Don't be a defender of doubt, but remember that you are the part of the way. Letting go, whoa, I put a little sorrow into my road. Letting go, oh, 'cause I know the seeds of love will grow. Letting go, oh, so I can sing my song. Letting go, oh, 'cause I gotta let go. 'Cause I gotta let go. 'Cause I gotta let go. Hold on, let go, hold on, let go. Hold on, let go, hold on, let go. Hold on, let go, hold on, let go. Hold on.
Oh, yeah. It's birthday Sunday today, too.
Yeah.
We got
All right.
cake.
And we got cake. Yes, you are. These are beautiful ladies ready to do this wonderful thing. Let's say our divine prayer. Here we go. For our circle of contribution. Together. Divine love through me now blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. All right, ready? Opening up to the good. That's what we do here. Uh-huh.
Opening up to the good. I am opening up to the good. I am opening up to the good that is my life. I am opening up to the joy. I am opening up to the joy. I am
right, now we will bless the gift and we bless the giver, knowing that it expands our good, it expands the good and the light of this place, and it expands the good and the light of our community at large. So it is. Amen. All right. Bella, you want to come up here and share what you did in Sunday school? Ooh, that's beautiful.
Bella. Beautiful. Your name means beautiful.
Like a little tropical island and then a dinosaur island, huh? Those are great.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
She's very creative.
Yeah.
Super.
Okay, so, oh my gosh, do you remember when we used
Look
to
at how
do...
she dresses. I mean, come on, she's
Okay,
super great.
oops.
It's blue.
Oh, it's not supposed... Oh, okay, you don't want them separate. It's supposed to go like this?
The waterfall.
Oh, come here, honey. Come on. There we go. Here, you're going to kind of turn around there. There we go. All right, so here we go. Flowers on the side. For spring, right?
It's
The heart.
It's almost spring.
And then a fall leaf. That's
Aw.
beautiful. Bella, thank you so much.
Yay, Bella.
Okay, so this is what we're going to do next, because today's our annual meeting. We're going to sing the peace song. We're going to sing happy birthday. And then members, you're going to sit right back down.
Oh.
Okay, members, you're going to sit right back down, and no cake until we get through this meeting. Okay? That way we can get the meeting going. Like, that'll just be, there we go, we're done. Okay, if you're not a member, you were invited to stay and just kind of sit and observe what's going on if you want to. Or you can go have some food, because there's food out there. All right, our member meeting shouldn't be too long. All right? So we're going to circle up now and sing the peace song.
Cool.
And if you didn't get your yellow